It was late at night, the city bright as ever with all the artificial lights and lit up buildings. A lady, wearing heels with more height than she was comfortable with, stumbled across the streets. She fixed her blue dress, making sure it covered her thighs well. It made her uncomfortable. The attire was stupid to begin with. Well, not stupid. It was a beautiful blue, shimmery dress that hugged her body well, enhancing her curvy figure. The strips were a bold, V neckline, gave a prominent shape to her collarbones and cleavage. But it was something she was completely uncomfortable with. Somehow, she hated that one friend of hers who forced her to wear this after she lost her bet. Her friends were reckless, and now she was getting anxious over all the eyes staring at her. Her friends were drunk, celebrating their graduation ceremony. She stepped out to take some fresh air. She kept stumbling in those heels, trying to steady herself. Her freshly dyed purple hair were a stark contrast against her blue dress, and something about it she didn't like at all. She decided to go back inside when a huge black SUV stopped before her. The door never opened. Nothing moved anymore. Or was she paralyzed? Before anything changed, she was on the floor unconscious. She woke up feeling so cold it numbed her bones. She shivered and opened her eyes to find herself confided by the dark. It took her some moments to realize what happened. The SUV stopped before her and she fainted, pretty certain no one stepped out of it. The room suddenly felt warm, the aura shifting as she heard some footsteps, slow and calculated. Each step filled her heart with fear that held her in a chokehold. As the door opened, she found a man stepping inside, his huge imposing figure blocking the giant door step so easily. She could fight back, but what would an armless woman do against a man like him? Another man stepped after him. He was quite tall as well, but smaller in size. His hands joined together as he stood on the side, head hung low, clearly ashamed of something he did. The smaller man turned on the lights. The one with the huge body and destructive aura had his eyes digging holes in his skull as the lights turned on. He didn't once blink, and it took only one moment to realize who it was. Her heartbeat stopped, body curling, goosebumps rising, and it seems like this was stuck for a century there. Jungkook, the man she once loved so dearly. Once he was done giving death glares to the other man, he shifted his gaze on her. She almost cried under the intensity of his gaze. She wondered how that other man was even standing on his feet. Jungkook's scowl eased before his eyes widened in surprise, mirroring her own shock. Payan? He muttered, his strong facade momentarily shaken. The realization dawned on him. He was informed how the mission of abducting their target went wrong, But he had no idea they had accidentally kidnapped Ryan, his ex lover. He still loved so much. Her eyes locked with his, confusion etched across her face. It was only for a moment he let his guard down before his face went neutral. He walked up to her and removed his jacket, covering her with it. The familiar warmth she was missing for years returned. It smelled like him. She wanted to hug that jacket and crawl in a hole and never get up again. Ryan, Jungkook, what is this? She demanded, the air thick with tension. Jungkook, for the first time, looked uncertain. Jungkook, this was a mistake, he confessed, his voice a mixture of regret and disbelief. Ryan, what mistake? I need answers, Jungkook, she demanded, her fear slowly turning into anger she was trying to tame. Jungkook, I had a job, a target. It wasn't you. This was never supposed to happen. Ryan, still restrained to a chair, looked at Jungkook with a mix of betrayal and a glimmer of the past. Ryan, what do you want from me? Jungkook and Ryan used to be in a relationship, a happy, healthy relationship people were envious about. Nothing worked ever against them. It was almost fictional how well they went along and how deeply they were in love with each other. Then it all went wrong. Jungkook's nature was the same with Ryan, but she noticed changes in his personality. While he still cared and loved her the same way, but she knew there was something different. It went on. Most of the time she ignored it, since he was the same with her. Then one day, when she found out where he involved himself, the man he turned out to be was the exact reason she left him. He joined the criminal world. And today, the criminal world brought them back together. It was almost ironic. Jungkook's gaze softened and he approached her casually. The exact eyes he used to look at her with. Jungkook, I never meant for this wine. I didn't want you involved. Jungkook, but now that you are, I need you to trust me. There are things you don't understand. He implored, his hand reaching out to gently touch her cheeks. Her skin burned at his touch, memories of their shared past flooding back. Wine. Trust you? After all this? Jungkook took a step back, his dark eyes searching hers. Jungkook, I told you, I didn't plan for this, for you to be involved. Things can't be undone. You're here, and I'll do everything to keep you safe. Trust me, even if it's just for now. Ryan, why should I trust you, Jungkook? You have kept me in the dark. He crouched down, bringing himself to eye level with her. Jungkook, I wanted to protect you from this life, from me, but now you are a part of it. I can't change that, but I can keep you safe. As he spoke, Jungkook's fingers softly worked to loosen the rope binding Wine. The touch was surprisingly gentle, a stark contrast to his rough and strong skin. As the strains fell away, he held her wrist, slowly rubbing his thumb to ease the pain. Wine. What happens now? Jungkook. I have enemies, and they won't hesitate to use you against me. We need to play their game, at least for now. Wine. You expect me to go along with this? Jungkook. I won't force you, Wine, but I need your cooperation to keep you safe. I never wanted you to be a pawn in this, but fate has a twisted sense of humor. Wine. This is what I ran away from. But as you said, fate sure does has a twisted sense of humor. Fine, I'll do it. Her voice was a little bitter, and Jungkook clearly understood why. She never wanted to be involved in this. With the restraints now loosened, Jungkook guided Wine to a more comfortable part of the room. He helped her on a couch, took a seat beside her, and before she knew, he was applying ointment over the marks left on her wrist. He held her with such gentleness and dominance, as if he still owned her. He then brushed fingers through her hair, fixing them, before his eyes fell on her dress momentarily. The two had dinner, and then he took her to a guest room, which was huge and aesthetically beautiful. Wine. Will you stay? He stopped in his tracks. Wine cursed internally. Wine. I saw a lot of men. While they're your guards, I don't trust them. Jungkook. And you trust me? Wine. More than them. Yes. He smirked and walked over to bed and lay down exactly like he owned it. Jungkook. What's with those expressions? Don't tell me you are expecting me to sleep on couch. Wine. Yes. Jungkook. Why would I? This is my home. Wine scolded, stomped her foot once on the ground, and then got in her side of the bed. She grabbed a pillow and placed it in between them all. All the while, Jungkook kept staring at her. The two laid there in silence. She tried to sleep, but she couldn't, not with everything that's going on. She felt a shift in bed, and then a hand crawled around her neck, turning her towards him. The pillow was gone, and he moved closer to her. The next moment, he placed his lips to her forehead and left a kiss there. Jungkook, is it wrong to say now that I missed you? Every other day, I hoped you had come back to me. I hoped for you to never leave me. Why? You chose this, Jungkook. She whispered, but never pushed him away. Jungkook, no, Wyan. I didn't choose this. You were my choice, and I would choose you over and over again, lest I wasn't given any choice to begin with. Ryan, what do you mean? Jungkook, things went wrong. I had to choose this to become strong, strong enough to protect you. You never knew, but after you broke up with me, for a long time you were a target of my enemies. I protected you from the shadows. Jungkook, the only reason I let you go is because I wanted you alive. I wanted you to live the life you are happy with. For you. It was all for you. Ryan, what are you talking about, Jungkook? She looked at him. A sudden realization dawned on her. She noticed a lot of times her problems solved on their own, as if she had some angel by her side 24/7. A lot of times she felt safe and protected just because of that one invisible angel, whereas it seemed absurd. But now she knew no one could provide her with this sense of protection other than him. Ryan, that doesn't change who you are. Jungkook, no, it doesn't. He stopped midway when she turned and suddenly snuggled in his arms, digging her face in his chest. She held him so tightly. Jungkook, but for you, I'm still the same Jungkook who fell in love with you, whom you loved, and with each other, we are the happiest. Her eyes teared up slightly. She missed the way he held her like this in his arms. She didn't cry, but held him close to her. Ryan, one chance, Jungkook. Only one. If it doesn't work, I'm walking out, and you can't stop me anymore. He tightened his arms around her and kissed her head multiple times. Jungkook, I'll make it work, no matter what. A few days passed by. Ryan stayed with him, as he asked her to, till he got done with his mission. She was half assured he was taking extra days on purpose. She saw her man talking to his assistant out in the gardens. He was really nice and gentle with her, but sometimes she wondered how dangerous he was. By the way, everyone was so scared of him. Once she saw a grown up man wet his pants because of fear. That was low-key funny, but it was taking her some time to adjust to his new world. After Jungkook was done, he came back inside and towards her straight. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her flush against him before he kissed her so deeply. Every time he kissed her, he poured in all those years he missed doing this. All those feelings that were abandoned came back to life as she kissed her back. Jungkook, how about I take you shopping tonight? Why? Weren't we hiding from your enemies? You said I can go back home once you're done. Jungkook, can we pretend I'm still not done and let things go this way? His fingers stroked her cheek and then her collarbone, and she bit her lip, giving a slight nod in return. He smiled and kissed her head before he picked her up in his arms and walked over to have some breakfast with her.